What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Welcome to Saturday. Today, got a buddy out here, AA0Z, Kyle. He's out on the YouTubes. Check the link out in the video description. But he's going to show us, how to safely remote our ham radios. And there's some equipment that I've purchased to make this all happen, but we'll explain it. Don't worry. It's a lot of fun stuff to add to your remote station. If you have remote station goals, you might want to check this out. So enjoy the memes, and we'll get started real soon. Hey, thank you for the super chat from Gunner. Hot mic. Somebody said hot mic. Yeah, it's a hot mic. Because we're hot and live, guys. We're hot and live. It happens. Don't worry about it. This is not like Ham Nation where everybody has to immediately tell me there's a problem. We know that these live streams can be completely crazy. And since we're mixing around, remoting our radios, my network connection, at any time this whole thing could fall apart. But we're going to have some fun regardless. Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Appreciate you coming out. We do have a lot to cover, so I'm going to just kind of dive in here. I want to first give a huge shout-out to Kyle, AA0Z, for willing to be on the show and continue this remote ham radio thing. If you remember, it was over a year now, we did a video on Node-RED. So we're going to be diving into Node-RED a little bit more today. If you want to know how to get started in Node-RED, go to Kyle's YouTube channel. It is linked in the video description. Or you can check out the video I did with him. Regardless, though, pretty much all roads are going to lead back to him for setting up a Node-RED station. It's very easy, though. So just assume while you're watching this, you will have to have set up a Node-RED station, right? Also, I got a link in the description to the campout that's going to be first weekend in May. If you are in the Silverwood Lake area of California, we have a group campsite, and we would be honored if you would register for that and come join us. So go check out the form, all right? Also, hamtactical.com. If you'd like the merch for the Ham Radio Crash Course, as well as our coffee, hamtactical.coffee, you can go check that out too. So let's bring Kyle in with no further delay. Kyle, how are you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to help me out, because he hopped on many a Zoom call here to kind of work through some of the stuff, the setup, if you will, on Node-RED, because it's a programming language. It's got WYSIWYG feels, but what do you generally tell people when you explain what Node-RED is?
Yeah, it's basically a control interface and a monitoring tool, and you can program different flows to do different things. There's pre-canned flows that we loaded, and we'll take a look at some of that stuff, but. Yeah, it was made for the Internet of Things, but we have adopted it. We, being hams, have adopted it for controlling our rotor controller and our radios and our amplifiers and all of the other things that we have in our shack that we touch on a remote, or even whenever you're in the shack, a hourly basis. Well, why can't you bring in all of those things? You might have your amp over here and your rotor over here and something, an SWR meter over here. Why not bring that all together into a web page where you can see all of the whatever you have in your shack at your fingertips in one eyesight here?
Yeah, I mean, we can see your radio in the background. With SDR radios, software-defined radios, it becomes a lot easier to do a lot of this remoting stuff. But today, this is going to be more focused on the safing a radio and all the accessory stuff, right? So there are a number of devices like web-enabled power switches, right? So you have the ability to click a button and it'll turn the power off to your radio. And you might want to do that in case your radio's like on a runaway, like it's just you can't get it to respond, it's transmitting, you don't know what's happening. Well, click the button, it turns the radio off, and you're good to go, right?
Yep.
Is that kind of the idea there? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's different things that you can buy, like you bought that web power switch, and we'll get into that. But there's things that are off-the-shelf consumer things that you can buy that you can control via Node-RED. People have created flows, and you put that into your shack, and power is a great example where you have to power everything, and typically that's powered by a power supply that shoots out 13.8 volts. Well, if you've got control of that and something goes awry, it'd be nice to shut that thing down on a moment's notice, either remotely or locally, through Node-RED. And Node-RED is just an avenue. It's just a conduit to get access to control your different things.
Now, you mentioned the word flow, and I'll probably just bring up the website here, or the page, so you can see it. But a flow is like code, if you will, right? And what explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, so a flow is basically some nodes that are put together with wires. So you can see in your example there, we've got a bunch of nodes that are wired together, and each one of those nodes has a purpose and does some work. So if we start there at that timestamp, which is the gray node, that is a inject node, and it's just starting the flow. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then it comes over, it's got a wire that comes over to this curl command, and that's another node that we have set up that actually polls this device with a username and password, and you see the IP address there. And what it does is it pulls that device and logs into the web power switch, which we'll take a look at. Mm-hmm. And it says, hey, I want you to log in, and I want you to do some work. I want to get some stuff from you. Whenever it logs in and gets that information, it sends it to the next node, and then it flows all the way through the different nodes. And then as you get through the flow, you can see we have there's a dashboard, and that's what you look at. This is the business end of the back end of Node-RED. So then what happens is it tells different buttons what the status is, and then it puts it on the dashboard. And then whenever you click that button, it will send that command back to the power switch and say either turn off or turn on.
Okay.
And this flow that you're seeing right here, somebody has already created the wheel. They have already created this flow. So whenever Josh and I met and we imported this flow into his Node-RED system, all we had to do was change the username and password on a couple of nodes, and it automatically came up, and we were rocking and rolling.
That's a huge point. I'm glad you brought it up. That all these flows, which we'll walk through a couple of these in a little bit. We'll show you the front end of it in a second. Kyle just pointed me to it, said, here, search for this, and boom, there's the flow, including the flex radio, which is an immensely complicated flow. But here's the flow for my rotor, which those are cardinal corrections. I can just click on them on a website, and it points my antenna wherever I want it to go. The flex is a lot more complicated, but you can see it's just a ton of stuff that you just download this off using the tool, the Node-RED website, which is on your Raspberry Pi, and you're pretty much off and running. So I'll click the what did we call it? The yeet button? Is that what everybody calls it now? All the kids call it?
The yeet button. So there's a couple of ways that you can get to the pretty end of Node-RED. You can go to the sidebar, and then if you pull that on over, you've got tabs up at the top, and one looks like a bunch of bars. If you click on that bar, there's what's called the yeet button. We've designated the yeet button. So pull
I'm going to drag it out a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
This little square in the upper right-hand corner, if I click on that, this is my Node-RED, and it's a little small because I'm zoomed in, but let me do that, and there you go. So that's my Node-RED. So if I click, say, on this, let's say I wanted to, I don't know, get more into Europe. If I just click here, the little red pie slice, and my rotor's now turning. It's adjusting my antenna, so will come right over there. And if I want to just click one of those little fast buttons, I can. And on the far side, if I you can see the little power buttons. If I click on shack lights, let's see if this works. Yeah, it killed that. And it's back on. See the light going in and off? So that's the shack lights, if you will. But I can do this from anywhere. Once I VPN into this, I can have full control, and I can see a little quick snapshot of what's going on with my flex. But that big thing, the upper left corner, that Flex 8600, if I can click that, then it'll shut the power down to the radio, and I could potentially keep it from burning itself up or damaging it or whatnot, right?
Yep. And there's Flex has a nice interface on the back of it. It's an RCA jack, and what you can do is you can get a relay, and whenever you wire that relay into an RCA connector and plug that into the back of the Flex where the remote on is, whenever that relay closes, it turns the Flex on, and whenever it opens, it turns it off. So therefore, that is a way that you can turn your Flex and other things on and off through the control of relays.
Yeah, getting comments on the azimuthal map. That's the great circle that you see there. Really fascinating. I didn't really think about it, but yeah, if I want to hit Europe, my antenna actually needs to be pointed at 20 degrees, 20-ish degrees, not, 30, 40, 50, 90 in some cases for some people. So pretty interesting. Let's see. Dawn says, wait, there is a PG, XL, Tuner Genius, and Antenna Genius? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, there's a flow out there for the
flows.
Tuner Genius and the Antenna Genius. I think Dave WO2X wrote it, and I think it's out on the site, Don. You just have to look for it. I think. Not really sure. I don't have either one of those, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody in the chat that is part of the Node-RED community that is more up on the file section will correct me.
So I have a pretty Spartan controls, because really all I need right now is the ability to adjust my antenna and power on and off my station. That's kind of like my big thing.
Yeah.
But you have it in a whole different... Well, go ahead. What were you going to say? You're pointing at something.
I was going to say, Don, I think Don, I misunderstood what Don was saying. He was probably saying, hey, you need to load the Antenna Genius on your flow. Maybe that's what he was saying.
Oh, I don't have an Antenna Genius. I only have the Power Genius. But that's a good idea. I should do that. But why don't you show your Node-RED? I've got you queued up for sharing. Why don't you bring that up to show people, and then we'll do a couple of flows.
Do you want me to show
why don't you share it?
Okay.
Yeah, you can share to Zoom, and then I'll just center you.
Yep. So let me get to that. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's really been fun though setting this up, because you got so many cool controls and stuff you can do. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So let me let me share my screen here. All right. So there it is.
Wow, look at that.
So these are just, this is probably a year plus, maybe even 2 years of just stuff and tinkering and figuring out what works for us and what doesn't work. Over here, we've got some Raspberry Pi stuff like CPU temperature, memory use, disk space. We're charting CPU temperature on this chart over here. Here is some relays to shut some stuff down. Again, the power switch that you've got. We've got a couple of those in the shack. And then more relays, and we're able to turn like all of our amp racks on and off remotely. Here's our Flex control. So this is how I turn the power supplies on and off for the Flex. So we've got a 6700 and we've got an 8600. So that's how we turn things off and on. Also, this really cool device called Paradigm Antenna Disconnect. This thing is really cool. Whenever you apply 12 volts to the antenna disconnect, it connects the antenna, and whenever you remove power, it disconnects the antenna and grounds it. So what we've got this this button here that will literally just disconnect the antennas, and I can display demonstrate that by so you see me in the background, you see my Flex. Mm-hmm. If I turn the antenna on and off, there, all the signals are gone.
It happens like instantly. Wow.
Yeah. And now I'm going to turn and now the signals are back. So we have this connected to a lightning detector, and if Node-RED sees from our online polling of lightning maps, if it sees a flash of lightning or sees a lightning within like 5 miles, 5 kilometers of the station, it automatically shuts the shack down and disconnects the antennas.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really handy.
Yeah. And then we've got some other network status here with just pings that you can do, on your local LAN. And then we've got some speed tests, some layers. But then here is our 3 towers and our maps that we have. So notice on your map and on my map that I'm centered in the middle of the United States because I live in St. Louis. You are centered on California, Southern California, because whenever we built these maps, you can go in and you can build this map per your grid, and then it centers it per how you build it, and then that you import this into Node-RED, and then everything is right in the world for azimuth maps.
Yep, very good.
So then here's how we switch antennas, and then we've got each tower. We got 3 towers, of course, and each tower has got an antenna switch at the base of it. So here on the red and the green, we switch what tower based on which radio we're on, and then we switch the antenna for each tower. So, for the west tower, we've got a 160-meter vertical, we've got a C31, and then we've got an 80-meter north-south dipole. So that's how we change the antennas at the base of the tower.
Very cool. Yeah, well, you got a full-on, massive station in compared to most folks. But even something as simple as mine is useful for, what I would be doing. Potentially remote, but not even that. Like maybe I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and point my antenna west and see where I can get, or I'm going to flip it around to Australia, and then it's all ready to go by the time I hit the shack.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about Node-RED is you have to start small. I mean, you got to crawl, you got to walk, and then you got to run. So the nice thing is just get one device, get that power web switch, and play around with it, and get familiar with how Node-RED works and how to build a dashboard, and then start adding more stuff. Don't try and run your first day. Start small, and then to build from there.
Yeah, there's a good question. We'll take a couple of those as we're going through this. What do people use for remote SWR monitoring?
Yes, there is a great device. Let's WA4 do WA4 MCM. Let me stop my share.
Remote antenna switch.
Yeah, and Don has created that SWR meter up there.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
It is fully compatible with Node-RED. He has the flow on his website. You can get it as a kit. I don't know if he puts the kits together. You might have to ask him. But we have one of those kits. He's actually going to be in Orlando, and he's going to probably be at Dayton selling those kits. But that is a fantastic SWR meter. And it plugs in directly into your Raspberry Pi through USB, and it's legal limit, and it's got graphical interface. He updates the firmware on a regular basis. It's a great SWR meter.
I'm gonna buy one of these. Mine just died. My legal limit power SWR meter died, and it was a dumb one that doesn't connect to the network or anything. Is it wireless, or do you have to give it a wire connection? Yeah,
it's USB based.
Oh, it's USB.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you just plug
it right into the Raspberry Pi.
Correct.
Correct. That's okay. Well, I'm gonna do that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, his stuff. Over here, the tower switches are all MCM switches, and they have worked perfectly and very reliable. And he is retired now and been a ham for years and years and years, and has got a kind of a background in electronics. And he came to me and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Can you help me with some Node-RED stuff?" And I was able to help him. And his stuff is great.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Very cool. Let's see. Why don't we? Somebody asked. Let's see. So how did they get the Node-REDs? Where can I get a copy of the flows for Node-RED? Well, why don't we just show people how it's done, I guess?
Yeah. So there's if you want to get a copy of some of the flows that we're showing off today, you can go to the Groups.io. There is if you search for Node-RED on Groups.io and ham radio, there is a whole group. It's about 2,500 people. And if you go to the files section in that Groups.io, you'll find all of these flows that we're talking about.
Yeah, so that's one way to find it is right there, the groups.io. In fact, I'll drop that in the chat for everybody. Yeah, that's a really good point, too. I know that Kyle and I have mentioned Flex radios a lot because it's kind of easy to interface with them because they're already networked enabled, if you catch, why that would be good. But no, anything with cat control, you just let the Pi handle it, right? So the Raspberry Pi kind of becomes your access point for the radio. Is that how a lot of people do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a Mosquito server. If you know anything about MQTT, your Raspberry Pi becomes the center of everything, the center universe, and you route everything through the Pi, your cat control, all of that stuff. If you're trying to send BCD data or you're trying to send cat data to different peripherals and they need to talk to one another, you make the Pi your hub, and everything goes through the Pi, and then you write flows to shoot the information to the different peripherals.
Yeah, it's a different way of thinking about it, I guess, like the way you would kind of do some of this stuff. But once you think of the Raspberry Pi as kind of like the hub, right, then that's just kind of how you treat it. And you were going so far as to say that people will actually run multiple Raspberry Pis, and maybe they can't be like physically at the device in question, but they can just throw a Pi on it. And now they've got remote control over that, basically, right?
Yeah.
Is that how some people do it too?
Yeah. A perfect example is our shack at the contest station. We have two Pis. We have a Pi that runs Node-RED, but then we've got a Pi in the back of the amp rack, and everything plugs in. We've got a couple of USB hubs, and everything plugs into those two hubs. And then we run a program called Sear to Net, and all of that USB protocol gets piped over the network and then gets shot over to the main Pi that's running Node-RED.
Excellent. Very smart.
Yeah.
So you've got a couple of flows that we'll go through, I think, to kind of demonstrate for people. I am running, again, I'm on a Raspberry Pi, and the Pi is running the Node-RED software, right? So we are basically on my home network. I'm directly in the IP address for the Pi. That's the only secret to this, is that you access the Pi via the IP address on your network, and that's pretty much all there is to it, right?
Yeah. Once you get that Pi set up, sometimes it takes a little technical ability to get a Pi up and running and to get an OS on it. And I understand that's some of the challenge. But the nice thing about loading Node-RED is it's one script. You go out to the Node-RED website and you copy a command, a bash command, and you copy it into a command prompt, and you're done. It loads. Just accept all the defaults. And then once that's done, you go to the IP address of your Pi, :/1880, and it will bring up the interface that Josh has got in the background there.
Yeah, and to reiterate, in case anybody, don't take when we mention a product to mean that that's the only thing it works with. No, Node-RED will run on just about anything, right? So if you had a small little Nook PC or something that you were really happy to just leave in the shack and let that be your computer, that's fine. It'll run on anything. So it keeps it easy.
If you're going to run it on a Windows machine, just keep in mind, I think it runs like in the background on a command prompt, and you have to have that command prompt up and running all the time. So if you kill that command prompt, it kills Node-RED. So just keep that in mind. I wish that wasn't the case, but I think the Node-RED creators, wanted this to run on Linux and distributions of it, and somebody has ported it over to Windows, and that's just the nature of the beast there with the port.
Yeah, Morgan Hertel says, I have a Genius antenna switch. Does Node-RED support that? Really want to stop using Windows? And I think the answer is yes, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course. Yeah. All right, so we've got a couple of JSON. So this is literally just a JSON thing that you import. And why don't you kind of walk me through it again so people can see what adding a fresh flow looks like.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is I sent over to Josh a Node-RED Pi monitoring flow. So what we're going to do is we're going to load that. So what you need to do is, and this flow is on the Groups.io website, so you just have to download it. You download it as a JSON file. It's, just a text file. So the first thing that we need to do is, let's go over to your hamburger menu, which is in the upper right-hand corner. Yep. And then let's go to import.
Okay.
And then that's going to bring up a window. And now we're going to import that JSON file into Node-RED. So now go and find that JSON file.
Let me switch this over so everybody can see it a little bit differently. Hopefully this will work, but bring you back into. Okay, so it pointed me over here, and I've got, oh, I just lost a bunch of stuff. What am I looking at? That Pi monitor, right? JSON file?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
Okay, so let it do its thing there.
Yep. So now we're going to import it. So in the lower right.
Hold on. Did I still see everything? I shook the screen. Never do that. Never shake a screen on Windows. I hate that it does that. I got to turn that off. But now I lost everybody. It minimized everything. Hold on one second. Okay. So now we're going to go import, right?
Yep. Import. And then it's going to import that into...
Oh, it imported in the wrong thing. Can I just undo?
Right. Yep. So what you can do is...
Undo.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's do that again. Import, and we're going to make sure to say new flow right here.
New flow, right.
And then I'm going to go to select Pi monitor, open, and then we'll get the import button, which is currently blocked by Kyle's head. Let me fix that real fast. There's the import button. No, it's your whole screen. So, okay, we got some unknown information, it's saying.
Yeah. So this is great. So what's going to happen here is whenever you import something into Node-RED, you're probably not going to have the nodes, the correct nodes loaded. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to find these nodes and we're going to install them. So therefore this flow is happy. Okay. So let me make sure that, let me get into my Node-RED so I tell you the right thing. And a lot of times it'll say in the node what actually you need to load. So let me just make sure that.
Yeah, so this is going to be like for every software developer when you try to compile something and the libraries aren't there, or you're referencing something in the code that you have not imported the libraries or you don't have the import commands. That's kind of what we're doing right now. So those dotted line boxes up there basically saying, I don't know how to handle or I need a unit converter to do memory used, which is that blue little box there. So we're going to download some needed libraries here, and it should work with no problem.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to that hamburger menu in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay.
And we're going to go to Manage Palette.
Okay. So
this is how you install different nodes from the internet, and there's a repository, and you don't have to go out and manually do this, through a command prompt. So we're going to go to install, and then we're going to search. The first one we're going to search for is system info, systeminfo.
Okay.
And let's see, that? Yeah, I think that's it. Yes.
Looks like that one. Yeah.
Yep. So let's go ahead and install that.
Okay, doing its thing.
Yep.
And you can see it's added to the palette, so good.
Yep. And then the next one, let's do unit converter, unit-converter. Try that. Yep, I think it's that first one.
Okay.
Okay.
Easy. Okay.
Yep, and I think let's close that, and I think that's the. So let's go through that flow.
We got one more, it looks like.
What's
Humanizer. We need to humanize our product. Let's go back to install, and we'll type in Humanizer.
Yeah, I don't know if that one is called Humanizer or it's called Moments. Yep. So
Yep.
We'll have to install Moments. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So everything is right. Everything looks good. Okay. So, and notice how some of those nodes, or actually all of the nodes, well, only some of them, they've got that circle above them. That means that they're not deployed. So what we need to do is now we need to compile our program. Okay. So let's go up to, the deploy, and we're going to click that.
Okay. Clicking the deploy button.
Yep. And it's going to tell us if it's got any errors, and we successfully deployed. Yep. So we're good to go.
Looks good.
So now we need to reyeet. We need to go to the dashboard and take a look at our
Okay, so
our
we'll
flow.
refresh. And it's
yep.
not there.
Yep. So I think what happened, this is great. So now the cool thing about Node-RED is you can have different tabs and different groups. So all of the things that you see on your screen now are grouped together. So there's a group called Power Switch, and there's a group called Flex Radio, and there's a group called Beam. All of those dashboard nodes are grouped into those groups, okay? Well, what you can do in Node-RED is you can put groups in different tabs. So if we go up to the left-hand corner into the hamburger menu, I think, there is a couple of more tabs here, and we'll rename this, but I think if you go to E-layer command and control, there it is. There is your pie. There's your pie. Yep.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
We just built that. So now what we want to do is let's rename that group
to
something other than E-layer, right? So you can see, after it imported, it put
on the right-hand side.
Yep, it put that over there. So now we can edit that, and you can call that, KI6 NAZ's, pi control or something.
Okay.
And then if you redeploy,
deploying now.
And then you go out and reyeet.
Reyeet. In my case, I'm just going to go back and refresh it. So it should disappear then. Oh, yeah, it's called HRCC Pi now. Yeah, in the upper left corner. Yeah.
Yep. So, whenever you import, this is kind of the confusion, is whenever you import someone's flow, I don't think Node-RED is mature enough yet to scrub all of that information. Right. So whatever somebody created that Node-RED program or that Node-RED flow, and they exported it and they put it out on the file section, it's probably going to have their information in it. Yeah. You just need to go in and just change it.
Yeah. So now, I guess that's totally fine. Because really, this is the most pertinent information for me, the radio room area. But if I was kind of going like, I don't know, something's a little wonky, and I pull up my Pi and I can see my little bar graph here shows the temperatures like way high. It's like, oh, something's funky, right?
Yeah. There's been multiple times where, during the summer, whenever we moved everything to the basement, we were kind of crammed in a bedroom, and we had two stations and two alpha amplifiers, and it would get hot in the summer whenever we contested, and the Pi was up on the wall, up towards the ceiling, and that Pi, it would get to about 170, 180 degrees on the CPU, and it would freak out, and you would log in and you'd say, oh, of course, now I know why Node-RED is freaking out. It's because the CPU is out of this. And now what we have done is we put an alarm on that. So every time that the CPU or the memory goes haywire, I send a message to our Discord server, and it alerts me, and I am able to everything is logged in Discord. So whenever someone turns a rotor, whenever someone turns a flex on, whenever someone does anything in Node-RED, it automatically sends a log to Discord. Not only does it log locally, but it logs to Discord, and then I can get on my phone and figure out exactly what people are doing at the contest station.
That's hilarious. For Pi stuff, I like the Argon 1 cases. I've been using them since they came out. So that's a Pi 4, and I'm running on a Pi 5, but it's got a really huge heat sink and active cooling. And it's actually cooling is based on the temperature of the device, which is, I don't know if you've ever used those before.
No, I've seen them. We have banned cases at the shack. Everything is just out in the open. And
banned cases?
Yeah, everything has got a case off of it, and we've just got massive airflow just coming through it, and anything to make sure that it dissipates heat is our MO.
That's then you guys are just gonna love George's remote ham shack equipment, right? Because that's just bare boards that you just throw it on a wall.
We're just gonna put a big old fan on it, just let it blow.
I noticed that you mounted the boards directly to a box fan. Is that for enhanced cooling? What have you done there? Yeah.
Yes, that is. If we could put a super cooler on that,
There you
liquid
go.
cool, we'd probably
Yeah.
do it.
Richard, the Truck and Ham says, question, does Node-RED play with different rigs, as in ICOM or Yaesu? And so, Richard, we already covered it, but it deserves repeating. Absolutely. If you can do cat control, you can do Node-RED.
Yep. Yep.
All right, so we've got some Pi details, and let's see, what's our... Oh, I never noticed the slices. That's interesting. I guess that's from the Flex.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what you can do is, if you want to put that Raspberry Pi monitor or anything else on your main page, all you have to do is, in that sidebar, just grab that group and just drag it up.
Say that again? Oh, you're talking about in the editing page.
Yeah, in the editing page.
So if I wanted to add slices, for instance, I want to put it right by the Flex or like something like that, and then I redeploy.
Yep.
Okay, we'll re-yeet here. And
also, we should get into the graphical interface too and show that off.
Yes, we will. And so now, yeah, there's the slices right there. So it's now just ahead of the rotor, which I don't really like the way that looks, but you know what? That's the coolest part. You can change it, and I guess that's a perfect time. Is why don't we show that? So I'm back on the dev page, and up the right-hand corner, what do we do? Go to theme, or I can't remember.
You go to layout, and then go to your main tab up there where it says KI6NAZ's radio room or radio flow.
Which one's layout?
Sorry. No, just go up to the top there. Yeah, and then go out to layout. See how it is. Yeah, there you go. So this is the GUI, and then what you can do is you can drag and drop your different dashboard nodes and arrange them however you want.
Yeah. So how would I make the slices go underneath the beam image, for instance?
Yeah. So this is the issue that we get into with Node-RED, and I think the dashboard 2.0, which they're coming out with, will solve that. So what you'll need to do is, I think, get out of that graphical interface and then drag that group below. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to. This is what I don't like about the dashboard is it's kind of, you got to take it or leave it, and it's not the best layout that I would think that I would program in my head. I would be able to like literally drag and drop on the website, and be able to resize dynamically. Node-RED doesn't do that right now. It's based on blocks, and you got to Tetris things in.
So
and that's just the way it is.
As I slide the window to make it bigger or smaller, you see how like they start to stack. Yeah. For everybody that's watching, that's kind of how this all goes down, right? So you kind of adjust it to the size that works for you, and then that's just kind of what you do. That's the way it looks like it works, which is fine. That's that's the one thing I do not like about Node-RED is the way that things stack and Tetris in on the dashboard, but that's just the way it is. Yeah. They're working on it. Yeah. Dashboard 2.0. I mean, oftentimes you're going to be pulling this up on like a phone anyway, right? So it's, it's not that big of a thing.
Right.
Yeah, so okay, I think we got another flow here as well, right?
Yeah, the other cool one that I found, and this one's going to be a little bit more risky because I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try it.
Okay.
Is there's a flow that I think, I don't know if I programmed it or if I got it off the net. I don't know. I can't remember. I've done so many things in Node-RED that I've forgotten what I've done and what I haven't done. It is a speed test node, and it will go out like, once an hour, however many times that you want to run it, and just test your bandwidth. So did you import it already? I'm
clicking on it, but it's asking me some of the nodes you're importing already exist in your workspace. You just say import copy?
Correct. Yep.
And it looks like speed test and startup trigger are unidentified. So we'll
okay, let's go find those. Let me go. Right. Let me go to my stuff.
Go back to manage palette.
Yep. Install, and then search for speed test.
Got it.
Is it? Hang on, I think
there's only one.
Oh well. Is that contrib? Let's see.
Yeah,
let me see.
It is.
Okay.
And the other one's startup trigger?
Yeah, let me make sure that is, yes. At one time there was a couple of different speed tests, and I just want to make sure that it's the right one.
Oh, it's not because it still shows up as missing.
Yeah,
So
I
no
think
dash.
it is. Yep, I think it's just one word, maybe.
Nope.
Speed test.
Helps if you spell it right. There's 3. So there's speed test updated and there's speed test. Which one should I use?
Let's see.
Oh, 5 years and 3 months ago versus 2 years and 10 months ago. So I'm going to go with the 2-year one.
Yeah.
Oddly
Try
enough,
that one.
the one that's called speed test updated is the one that's 5 years old. So
yeah, it's
see
great.
how they get you.
I think that one might take a little bit to install. So this is, everyone knows the speed test website that you can go out and click. This is basically a command line version of it. And this is where, it's thinking. I don't know if it's, people have said that they have had errors installing this node, and it's based on, it installed. Very good.
Okay. Let's go back. And yep, looks like it's there.
So I think...
Oh, that's a busy one.
Yeah, I think what it's going to do is it's going to automatically do a speed test. It's configured for, I think, in St. Louis. So I think you might need to go and configure the speed test node. So let's, just for giggles here, let's double click on that speed test node.
Which one's that?
So that's the one in the middle. See the one, go over, no, see where all the, now it's on the right-hand side. Yeah, there you go. So double click on that. So basically every node has got some properties that you can configure. And I believe the server ID for St. Louis, or one of the speed test nodes for St. Louis, is that 55143.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I think what you need to do is you have to go out and, if you want to do one in California, you go out and figure out the server ID for one that's local to you. But for the interest of time, I think what we'll do, because I forgot how actually you go and find it. You have to, maybe go out and search for it.
Yeah. So if somebody in the YouTube chat figures that out, just go ahead and post it, and I'll update it. But we're just doing this as a demonstration.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and deploy that, and then re-yeet.
All right.
And that should, I don't know if
Where did it put
on
it?
a new, I don't know.
Oh, internet speed test is now under HRCC Pi, which that's fine. That's fine. Let's go ahead and check it out. All right, we're going to go to Pi, and speed test looks like it's not doing anything.
Yep. So I think if I can, no, so what you can do is you can click that button, and it'll run it. So there it goes. So it's doing a speed test. And it's running in the background, and then it'll display the speed test parameters that it figured out. But I think it is every 2 hours. That's how I've got my program. So every 2 hours, it will automatically go out and do a speed test and then report it here. There you go.
Nice. Yeah, okay. And so I guess those graphs fill out the longer you have it running.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if you take a look at graphs, is it over here? No, it's over here. And then, let me get my mic out of the way. You can see
the line.
Yeah. So you've got, download speed, upload speed, latency, and jitter down at the bottom. And it just graphs it over time. And as long as you don't restart Node-RED or restart your Raspberry Pi, those graphs will populate with the info,
Excellent. Okay. Let me go back. Yeah. Let's go back to that guy too. So to go back, actually, let me pull up that web.
The web power switch.
Yeah. So what was it? Web Switch Pro. Web power switch, right?
Yep.
So these are useful regardless of like having a flex. That's not what's important. It is kind of expensive, but it's a kind of like an insurance policy of where you can just click a button and shut everything off. So that's one of the reasons I went with this, because you get 8 ports that are they're switchable and then 2 that are just permanently on. And it works over Wi-Fi, so I don't have to have a plug into it to make it work, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. I understand it's $190, but man, is that thing useful. And I've gotten my $190 plus some out of that device.
And I mean, for you, when do you often use it, or how is it most deployed in your situation?
So it's deployed whenever we're powering the flexes, and then also whenever we're powering like we've got a KPA 500 that just uses 110. So we kick the power on to the KPA 500. We've got 2 power supplies, each one for the flex. And then we've got some other things that are powered, like a relay switch that connects into Ethernet. We use that to power it, and a couple of other things. I mean, it's amazing how many things don't use 12 volts in your shack, and you don't
Right.
realize that until you start trying to figure out how I'm going to turn the power on and off. And I'm like, oh, that's AC. How am I going to do this? Oh, I need another port on my power switch. And before you know it, you're got all of 8 ports plugged in, and you're like, crap, I need another one. We have 2 in the contest station because we have so many things that are AC, plugs in via AC, and we control them. Anything, like literally lights, we've got lights that we plug in, and we plug that into the power switch, and we're able to turn those on and off. So it's it's one of those things where you just start plugging stuff in, and before you know it, you need another one.
Yeah, there's a good question, and we'll start taking more of your questions as they come in, guys watching, so go ahead and do that. But Bill says, what security does that device have to protect against unauthorized persons messing with our powered devices?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. Node-RED has got security. So if you go out to the Node-RED website, it'll show you how to be able to log in to the website, with the username and password. But then also, if you want to get into it remotely, you put together a VPN or some way to get into your network from the outside. Josh, you and I were talking about Tailscale. That's one way. You can have zero tier. That's another VPN to VPN into your network. Other people do it by they load a Chrome remote desktop, or they load AnyDesk, and they remote control into their Shack PC, and then they control Node-RED through the remote control session of whatever they're doing, and then they get on to in the means of Flex, you get onto Smart SDR, and you remote control your Flex. But how many times do you really need to touch Node-RED whenever you're operating remotely? Like, you might need to rotate your rotor, or you might need to switch antennas, but that's only one thing that you're doing, out of the many things that you're doing on Smart SDR.
I think the point there is that the Node-RED device is a device on your home network. You don't have to open it up to the wider internet for you to access via VPN. It could just be for your own shack uses within the own Wi-Fi or your own home network. You don't need to use a VPN. You don't have to do anything, and then it would be perfectly safe. There's no chance that you would get anybody messing with you. But if you wanted that, then Tailscale is what I'm currently implementing. I don't have enough comments on it right now to tell anybody to go check it out or not. But so far, it seems to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people in the Node-RED forums on Groups.io, they run Tailscale and love it. So you load that on the Raspberry Pi, it becomes a node on the Tailscale list, and then you just click on it, and you're able to get your VPN directly into that device.
Yeah, I'm curious how that goes. I have to set that up. I don't know how to do that yet on the Pi, so that'll be my next thing to go about with. Let's see. What was the other thing I wanted to mention? All right. So we talked about the Lightning, so safe the station. Your node, which let me show it again, very top of kind of over his left-hand shoulder. You see that little lightning bolt? That's oh yeah. Why don't you show that full screen? That's great. Go ahead and show it.
So, okay, let me get back to this and then go to there and go here. All right. So this is another tab in our just session here. And then this is a map. This is a lightning map. So we download, there's a flow that goes out and gets all of the lightning for all the lightning strikes in the world. You know, there's lightning map, and then there's like one called Bluntskrieg or something like that. That you can download all of the lightning in real time. What we have done is we've created a flow, and it basically filters all the lightning for us around our shack in I think it's a 30-kilometer circle. So as storms pop in here, you can see this is the local radar from St. Louis, and I'm just pulling this from the NWS. You'll see, storms pop up here. And then as the storms come in, you'll see the lightning be displayed on this map here.
Yeah.
And then as that, the lightning comes in, and it's got coordinates, it's got GPS coordinates. So what we have done is we've basically geofenced a 5-mile and a 25-mile circle around the contest station. And if lightning is in that geofence within 5 and 25 miles, it sends us an alert and say, hey, there's lightning close. But then also, if the lightning is within 5 miles, it automatically shuts down the station. Now, we can override that. If we're contesting locally at the shack, we have a button here that says, hey, don't, let's see, where is it at? It's right here, shut down if lightning. So if I turn that off, it's not going to automatically shut down the shack. But the nice thing is, whenever we're not at the shack and lightning, a storm rolls in, and we have forgotten and turned the flex, or the flex is on and all the amps are on, and somebody has forgotten to shut the shack down, it will automatically go through the shutdown process and shut everything down gracefully at the shack. So therefore, if we do have a lightning strike, hopefully everything is grounded properly, and we don't take, a $3,000 hit or a $10,000 hit on any, failed equipment.
Yeah. What was the weather station you also mentioned? Let me pull that up so people can find that.
Yeah, it's a Tempest weather station. So this is in real time. Oh, you can't see it, can you?
I'm gonna pull it up. It's good. I'll get it on Amazon.
So this is the Tempest weather station, and we're just pulling that information directly on the network. And then
it's this guy, the weather system with the wind meter, rain gauge, and accurate weather forecast.
Correct. Yep. So we've got that hanging out at the shack, and that just it broadcasts on a multicast address, and it just pulls all that information in, and we display it here on Node-RED.
Yeah. Now, for me, this is probably the direction I'm going to go, because I'm less worried about lightning, but we do have wind, and I would like the ability to, if we have sustained, 40-mile-an-hour gusts, which we had with that whole fire situation, that it would just auto retract my step IR, for instance. That would be great. That'd be awesome. So
yeah,
I'll drop this in as well. So
you can also do crazy stuff like, all right, a wind event happens, and you get 3 or 4 gusts over 40 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour. What you can do is then you can automatically turn your antenna into the wind or away from the wind, right? And then shut your shack down. So therefore, your wind, the load on your antenna is minimal versus, coming across.
That's really smart. Yeah, because you're taking the so you're getting sustained gusts because the meter is telling you it's coming from the east. So you just say, okay, well, I'm pointing my antenna into the east.
Correct.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we do whenever there's a storm. Not only do we shut the shack down, but I turn the antennas into the wind. So therefore, it's not blowing across the antennas. And if we do get, a gust of wind at 100 miles an hour, hopefully the antennas survive.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Chris Bricker says you should add an air quality meter. Yes. So when the air quality is bad, I can say, honey, I can't do your chores. I've got to go play radio because it's so dangerous out there. So
yes,
we definitely don't want We definitely don't want to endanger my health by being out in these this crazy air. Yeah.
You could probably pull that in. That's something out on the web,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can go and find that value and probably pull that in through an HTTP node and parse that information and display it on your Node-RED dashboard.
Yeah, so that's a good point. It does. This is a lot of internet scraping you can pull from, right? So that's
Yeah.
obviously what you're doing with the internet speed test, right? So yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, it is. I'm not a programmer. I did not take one programming class in college, but with the internet and chat GPT, if you are stumped on something in Node-RED, go to chat GPT and just put it in there and say, I want you to build me a Node-RED flow that does XYZ, and it will spit out all the JSON code, and all you have to do is import it, see if it works, and then if it doesn't work, go back to ChatGPT and say, that didn't work, but here's what did work, and then I want you to do this other thing because it didn't work, and it will spit out another iteration of it.
Really?
You load it back in. Oh, yeah, it's great.
Oh, because it's all JSON. So yeah, sure, that's awesome. Let's see. Well, Chris just asked, does Node-RED work with displays like Ham Clock or that other Ham dashboard? So funny enough, don't you have a view for something like that?
Yeah, so a lot of things you can. Let me share my screen here
go
again.
ahead. And Billy, congratulations or good luck on your Ham exam next Tuesday. I'm sure you'll do very well.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, so there are a whole slew of things that you can do in Node-RED. One of the cool things somebody did was this band activity.
That is cool.
I think if you go to like dxheat.com or dxheat.de maybe, there's a band activity dashboard, and somebody replicated that in Node-RED. So this is where you load this, and then you tell it what continent you're on, and it will tell you what bands are hot. Here we've got Missouri propagation. So this is real-time propagation. Basically, what am I trying to the mux? No, not the mux.
The muff.
Muff. There you go. Yeah, the muff. So that displays that in real time. We've got storm levels. So if there's a solar flare or a solar storm that's happening, it'll be graphed here. This DXpeditions, I don't know what happened with it, but this was a really cool map that showed all the DXpeditions going on. And
I want that. That's super cool.
And then you could click on it, and it would go to the home page of the DXpedition.
I want that.
Yeah, and it would show the timeline on when they were going to be on the air. So I don't know what's going on with that. I'll have to figure that out.
And that's just through Groups.io, right? If I went to the Groups.io and looked for it, I could find the file under the files section.
Yeah. I don't know why it's not loading, but I'll take a look at that later. But anyway, then we've got the solar data. Everyone is familiar with the solar data. But then also you've got this geochron that we created, or somebody created. And so if you want a geochron, and you can make this full screen too. This updates with every hour.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, I got to get that DXpedition one. That's excellent, because I always feel like I'm out of the know when it comes to DXpeditions.
Yeah, so I don't know why it's not updating, but it's really cool. It had a calendar view, and it just showed what DXpeditions were going on, and you could literally just click on it and it'd go to the homepage, and it was a cool little graph.
So Grayman Poda has an important question. He says, how can I connect to Node-RED over APRS?
There is somebody created an APRS node.
Really? So I'm actually quite interested in that, because it would be cool if I got a little notification that if I saw my call sign, a message to my call sign on the raw APRS feed over at aprs.fi. That's exactly how I would use it. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So I think if you go to if we've got a little bit of time here, go to the Node-RED, the business end of Node-RED, and I think somebody created a APRS.
You're talking
node.
About the dev.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then go to your manage palette. So go up to the top, and go to manage palette, and then just type in APRS.
Nothing.
Nothing?
No.
could have swore that somebody created. Maybe they. Oh no, you go to install. Go to the install tab.
Oh, not nodes. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, go to the install tab.
Oh yeah, it looks like Node-RED nodes for connecting APRS IS and sending and receiving APRS and CW op. I don't even know what that means. A Node-RED node for parsing APRS packets using APRS parser library. Yeah, so that's exactly what scrape the packets.
Yep. So, I mean, it is amazing how many people have put nodes out there, and you'd be like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to create that from scratch. I guarantee you, between somebody else creating a node for that specific issue that you're having and ChatGPT, you can probably get it done.
Interesting. I like it. That's excellent, man. Kyle, anything you want to mention? Because we're out of time as always. This came too fast, too furious.
No, I'm good. I was taking. I'm still kind of taking a break from YouTube. Had some family things going on, but people that have reached out and said, "Hey, you coming back?" I am. I just taking a little bit more time off, and we'll be back during the summer and making videos and doing live stuff, and
looking
that's
out
the
for
plan.
that trivia.
Yeah. So hang on, I'll be back. Just give me a little bit more time.
Yeah, so Kyle's going to join us in the after chat, if you didn't know this, which I think you do now, hopefully. Every Saturday we go live. We take a bit of time after the show to do another show where we answer your questions. And since we'll have our expert here in Node-RED things, Kyle, he'll take your questions live. But this after chat, we have a mission. So I have this radio. Some of you might have saw when I flipped over the Argon. I have the Nomad from PrepCom, the APRS... Sorry, not APRS. CW laptop. And for the life of me, I have had a bit of difficulty making a contact with it. I think I got one guy that came back to a CQ call, but I haven't succeeded in making a contact. I'm trying to finish a video on this, and yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts on it. So I would love it if you guys all joined us in the after chat, or at least some of you that have CW prowess. See if we can make this thing work, and I'll have a camera pointed right on it. We'll do that after we talk to Kyle for a little while. So make sure to follow us over there because I think it should be fun. But Kyle, thank you so much for hopping on, and I appreciate you taking the time. Really taking the time earlier, like a couple of times we met, just to kind of get my station up and running. I'm at the crawl phase of my Node-RED journey, so I've got a couple other things to do, and obviously George has got that shack, remote shack thing that I'm going to build too as well. And so the good news is if you followed my live stream with George, right, about all of his really cool remote shack like devices he's made, this is all Node-RED stuff too, right?
Yep. He has built a Node-RED backend, and it all is controllable by Node-RED.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right.
It's great whenever, like you said, you and I had spent a couple of hours together building all this stuff. It is great whenever you take somebody and you build these nodes and you build the flows, and then you literally dangle the carrot, and they're just like, oh, now I get it. And you're
right.
Like, now you get it. Go forth and conquer.
Yeah, you start doing those little mental connections. You're like, oh, if I could do that, then I could do this, and I could do this. And I haven't even really got into the WYSIWYG, throw some boxes on the screen and let's make a connection kind of deal. So I don't know how that works yet, but I think I can figure it out. I did program at one time. I was a software developer. Probably couldn't do much of that today, but that's a different whole nother life. Let's see. I will be on 40 meters, almost for sure on 40 meters by the time we get to it. So tune up your dipoles, I guess. All right, Kyle. Thanks again for being on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Okay, everybody. We're going to wrap things up. But first, I want to say a big thank you to my patrons. The Patron Picks vote is out there right now for the producer-level patrons. We are going to pick the best show topic, and we'll be running that not next week, but the following week. Normally, it's the first weekend of the month, but I had Kyle's stuff. We needed to do this because I had been working with him, wanted to sort that out. Obviously, next weekend is Hamcation, and I will be at Hamcation, so make sure you do come up and say hi. As far as, I did get a couple of questions on what are we going to do nightlife-wise, or what's going on at Hamcation. So, got to give a shout-out to Temporarily Offline. He has a POTA event. I know it's more than him, but I think he has some updates on his YouTube channel. You can go to that. There is a POTA day. I think it's either Friday or I think it's Thursday. Pretty sure it's Thursday. I don't know enough about it to be able to give you the more information, but go check out his YouTube channel. And then Friday's the show, and obviously Saturday and Sunday. And as far as dinners and stuff like that, we don't really have a lot of plans. We usually pick where we're going to eat like that evening, like before leaving the show, and we'll make a post on our YouTube pages and all that. But yeah, look for us, and we'll be hanging out, okay? So just come up and say hi, and all your YouTube friends will likely be at Hamcation because it's a wonderful place to go in the first week of February or second week in February. So, all right. I think we got all the questions, hopefully. I think we did. But if we didn't get your question, join us on the after chat, and we will take your questions live. We're going to go to Kyle's questions, him for Node-RED first, to make sure we get everybody sorted out. So, yeah, join us. And the Coffee Club members, thanks so much, everybody who's gotten in on the Coffee of the Month Club. We appreciate you doing that and joining all the coffee fun. And we'd love to hear your feedback. If you go to leia@hamtactical.com and send us an email on your thoughts, we'll read it on the podcast. So check that out as well. All right. I think we are just about done. I finished uno cerveza, and I think I'm going to have one more. All right, guys. I'm Josh, KI6NAZ. Thanks so much for watching, and 73.